Anong pumapasok sa isip natin kapag nababanggit ang pangalang Jose Rizal? Ang matapang na nobelista ng Loli Metangere na tumising sa kamalayan ng mga Pilipino. Ang bayaning binaril sa lunit. Ang makata na nagsabi, ang taong di marunong magmahal sa sariling wika ay higit pa ang amoy sa malalisang isda. Ano ang kanyang tunay na pagkatao? Subukan nating kilalanin ang isang Filipinong nagngangalang Jose Rizal.
After 5 years in Europe, Rizal decided to come back here in Philippines in August 1887. After he finished Noli Me Tangere, he published it and distributed it to Filipinos both in Europe and Philippines. Many warned him not to come back by Pasiano, Silvestre, Obaldo, Chingoy, and other friends, but Rizal was firm in his decision to go home here in Philippines. Why Rizal was so determined to go home here in Philippines? In order to operate his mother's eyes, to serve his people who had been long oppressed by Spanish tyrants, to find out for himself how the Noli and his other writings were affecting Filipinos and Spanish in the Philippines, and lastly, to inquire while Leonor Rivera remained silent. So from a French port in Marseilles, he boarded on July 3, 1887 by the steamer named Dimjamna. It sailed to the east through the Suez Canal and reached Saigon on the 30th of the month. From Saigon, Rizal needed to transfer from another steamer named Haipong and reach Manila near midnight of August 5. Dimjamna passengers. There are 50 passengers including 4 Englishmen, 2 Germans, 3 Chinese, 2 Japanese, many freshmen, and 1 Filipino, and that is Rizal. Rizal became a translator of all different passengers because only Rizal knows how to speak several languages. After meeting some of his friends in Manila, he returned to Calamba on August 8. In Calamba, Rizal established a medical clinic. Doña Chidora was Rizal's first patient, his mother. He painted several beautiful landscapes in Calamba. He translated German poems of von Waldernach in Tagalog. Rizal was ophthalmoscope invented by Hermann von Helmholtz. He learned this from Professor Otto Becker, also his friends. Because of that, he began to dub as German doctor or Dr. Oliman, means a doctor from Germany. Because of his enemy's allegation that his Noli Me Tangere contained subversive ideas, Rizal was summoned by the Governor General Emilio Terrero. Rizal went to Terrero and Terrero learned Rizal's book. Seeing no problem in the book, Terrero nonetheless assigned to Rizal a bodyguard, Don Jose Traviel de Andrade, to protect the Balikbayan from his adversaries. In December 1887, the Calamba folks or magsasaka, magagawa, etc. as Rizal's assistants in collecting information as regards Dominican Hacienda management. Hindi magandang pangangasiwa ng mga lupain. So Rizal had objectively reported, among others, that the Dominican order had arbitrarily increased the land rent and changed the tenants for non-existent agricultural services. Mahal ang sinisingil na renta sa lupa, may binabayaran rin at walang specific na rason para saan. Enraged by Rizal reports, the friars pressured the Governor General to advise the author of Noli Me Tangere to leave the country. Rizal's second homecoming. Wanting to confer with Despujol concerning his Borneo colonization project, Rizal left Hong Kong on June 21, 1892, along with his sister Lucia. Without his knowledge, a secret case against him was filed in Manila for anti-religious and anti-patriotic public campaign. Rizal and his sister arrived in Manila at noon on June 26, 1892. At 7 p.m., he was able to confer in Malacanang with Despujol, who agreed to pardon his father and told him to return on June 29. On June 29, 30, and July 3, he had another interview with Despujol. Rizal's colonization project was rejected, but his request to leave the exile of his sister was granted. On the evening of July 3, Rizal spearheaded the meeting in the house of Doroteo Hongco on Niala Street, Tondo, Manila, attended by at least 20 Filipinos including Andres Bonifacio and Apolinario Mabini. Rizal explained the aims of the civic association La Liga Filipina officers were then elected, having Ambrosio Salvador as the president, thereby officially establishing the league. La Liga Filipina, isang samahan ng mga Pilipino na nais ng reforma sa kalagayan ng Pilipinas. Just 3 days after the meeting, Taff Rizal was arrested during his interview with the Governor General. This poll showed him anti-friar leaflets, pobre files allegedly discovered in his sister Lucian's pillowcases. Rizal imprisoned in Fort Santiago for almost 10 days. Rizal was brought at 12:30 a.m. of July 14 at the steamer Cebu and docked at Dapitan in Zamboanga del Norte on the evening of July 17. A martyr's last homecoming. Since leaving Barcelona on Tuesday, October 6, 1896, Rizal recorded the events in his day. Given a good cabin in the second class, strictly guarded but courteously treated by the officer. October 8, a Flandre officer told Rizal that the Madrid newspaper were full of stories about the bloody revolution in the Philippines and were blaming him for it. Confiscation of Rizal's diary. Spanish known that Rizal was keeping track of the daily events in his diary. They were curious what were recorded in his diary. Suspicion feared what made the diarist's writing. October 11, before reaching the port said, Rizal's diary was taken away from him. Nothing dangerous was found in the contents of the diary. November 2, the diary was returned to him. Rizal was not able to record the events from Monday, October 12 to Sunday, November 1. Unsuccessful rescue in Singapore. News from Rizal predicament reached his friends in Europe and Singapore. Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor and Sixto Lopez dispatched frantic telegrams to an English lawyer, Hogg Ford. When the colon arrived in Singapore, Attorney Ford instituted proceedings at the Singapore court of the removal of Rizal from the steamer. Chief Justice Leonard Cox denied the writing. Rizal was unaware of the attempt made by his friends to rescue him in Singapore. Arrival in Manila. November 3, the colon reached Manila. While the Spanish community was exulting with joy, Rizal was quietly transferred under heavy guard from the ship to Fort Santiago. Many Filipino patriots were tortured: Diosdado Arellano, Dr. Pio Valenzuela, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Domingo Franco, Timoteo Paez, and Pedro Serrano Lactao to implicate Rizal. Pasiano was also tortured. He never signs a statement against Rizal. His left hand crushed by the screw. Preliminary investigation. November 20, preliminary investigation appeared before Judge Advocate Colonel Francisco Olive. Two kinds of evidence, documented and testimonial. Documentary evidence consisted of 15 exhibits. Testimonial evidence consisted of the oral testimonies. Rizal chooses his defender. December 8, Feast of the Immaculate Conception. A list of 101st and 2nd lieutenants in the Spanish Army was presented to Rizal. Don Luis Taviel de Andrade, 1st Lieutenant of the Artillery, chosen to be the defender of Rizal in the court. Reading of the information of the charges to accuse. December 11, the information of charges was formally announced in Rizal's prison cell. Accused of being the principal organizer and the living soul of the Philippine insurrection, the founder of societies, periodicals, and books dedicated to fomenting and propagating the ideas of rebellion. Manifesto to some Filipinos, submitted on December 15 to inform the people that he condemned the rebellion because he wanted their liberties to be attained through education and lacked the participation of those from above. Was not published because it did not condemn the rebellion in its totality, but only in two aspects: lack of participation and preparation. Trial of Rizal. Prosecution officer asked for death sentence, if pardon, permanent disqualification and subjection to surveillance of authority, indemnity of 20,000 pesos. The Andrade defense delivered an impressive speech and claimed that the guilt of Rizal has not been legally established. Rizal supplemented his defender's points in detail. Polavea signs Rizal's execution. Same afternoon, December 26, that sentence was passed with the same condition except the indemnity was raised to 100,000 pesos. On December 28, Governor General Polavea approved the sentence ordering Rizal be executed by firing squad 2 days later at 7 a.m. Luneta.